What if Revan trained Anakin Skywalker? This is one I've wanted to do for a while, and I think I've finally got a story that I do enjoy written out, so I hope you guys enjoy. Please just do leave a like, hit subscribe, and hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let's get right into it. Our story begins as the Third Galactic War is finally coming to an end. The Sith Lord Tenebrae was attempting to resurrect himself, but Revan and his allies were able to stop him. This victory ended Revan physically and spiritual once and for all, and after centuries of fighting Sith Lords, he was ready to ascend into officially being one with the Force. But as Revan let go, his body did disappear, but he did not become one with the Force. Instead, Revan was guided through a new realm, transferred far away, and he heard voices from the Force itself. As Revan died, the voices told Revan that his journey is not yet complete. Someday, new Sith will rise, and with them there will be an awakening in the Force, the Chosen One. And the voices told Revan that it will be his responsibility to guide this Chosen One to bring balance, as he has achieved balance. And from here, Revan would be laid to sleep deep inside the living sea of Gazan, asleep but conscious, waiting for this eventual awakening. And Revan would lay here for thousands of years, waiting and waiting for the Force to allow him to be woken up, and finally he did begin to wake. Deep inside of the sea, Revan's eyes opened for the first time in thousands of years, and he felt the Force. It was heavy in the light, with a dark presence looming around it. And in this awakening, as it occurred, Revan could feel someone was born in the galaxy, someone stronger in the Force than perhaps ever before. Revan was lifted out of the sea, and he truly began to wake up once more, with his last memory being his instructions to help this powerful presence find balance. And Revan would begin to explore what was basically a completely new galaxy since his sleep. He continued to feel in the Force, wondering if the Jedi or the Sith were in control, and he was able to find his way to an abandoned ship, taking off into space and exploring the new galaxy. For a full year, Revan would go from planet to planet, space station to space station, learning as much as he could from observing the people of the galaxy. In passing conversations, Revan would learn that it is the Jedi who have survived all this time, and he wouldn't hear a single word about the Sith. It was as if the people of the galaxy had no idea who or what the Sith even were. It was strange, but it has been thousands of years after all. And during this year, Revan began to remember his past life, his early days as a Jedi, the Mandalorian wars with Malak, finding the mask, taking on the Sith, and ultimately succumbing to their power, becoming a Sith himself. He remembered his life after becoming a Jedi once more, redeemed, having his memories erased. He remembered his failure and imprisonment for hundreds of years due to the Sith Emperor. Ultimately, he did win, defeating the Sith even after death. And now he has returned to help bring the balance once more. But after a year of exploration, Revan came upon Tatooine. He'd considered going to the Jedi Temple on Coruscant, but he decided to find this presence in the Force first, this Chosen One, and then he would decide if these new Jedi can be trusted to aid him in his new mission. On Tatooine, Revan would spend a long time exploring, but he could feel the call from the Force here. His mission was certainly here, and soon enough, Revan would come upon a small hut where a Toydarian was yelling at a woman to finish her duties. A baby was crying behind the woman as she was trying to perform these duties, and Revan could only assume she was in slavery. But he could feel that this boy was the one he was supposed to find. His presence in the Force was stronger than anything Revan had felt before. Revan entered the hut and requested that the boy and the mother come with him. Watto, of course, resisted, as he had ownership over these two, but Revan threw him to the side and said once more that they must come with him. Shmi grabbed Anakin and followed Revan. An opportunity to escape slavery would not be passed up for Shmi and Anakin, so they ran with him to his starship. From here, Revan would try his best to explain who he was. He would say he is a rogue Jedi, separate from the Order, who was essentially called to find and to train Anakin. Although Anakin was only a year old, Shmi knew there was something special about him. He was born without a father, and Revan said he was created by the Force itself. So Revan would jump to hyperspace with Shmi and Anakin, explaining that Anakin must be trained as a Jedi, and they were currently headed to Coruscant. It was finally time that Revan see these new Jedi, and if they have continued the legacy of those that came before. Shmi was a bit worried for Anakin, but pretty much anything beat the situation they were in before Revan arrived. Soon enough, the ship would breach the Coruscant atmosphere, and Revan would request landing access inside of the temple hangar. The temple guards and those in charge of the hangar denied his first request, but Revan said he was a Jedi Master, lost for a long time, returning back to the temple. The guards honestly thought that this could be Master Sidious, so they did let Revan land, and he hid Shmi and Anakin away in his ship, and soon would land in the temple. Revan would be escorted through the halls by the temple guards, and he would pass by countless Jedi of all ages. But something was off with these Jedi. Revan could sense nothing but peace and serenity, but basically all he knew during his lifetime was war and fighting, as Jedi for the Republic. These Jedi were different. They wore robes, while in Revan's time the Jedi would often don armor. It was all so strange, but before long Revan was put into an elevator, lifted up to the council chambers. He would soon introduce himself to the council as simply a rogue Jedi in the galaxy, as he was unsure what his reputation would be like with this new era of Jedi, so it wasn't worth saying his real name. But the more he talked to Masters Yoda, Windu, and a few others, the more he learned of these Jedi. Through some strategic speaking, Revan would learn of the Ruusan Reformation. This reformation brought the Jedi into being under the command of the Chancellor and the Senate. Along with this, the Jedi Order abandoned its armor, along with its naval fleet and starships. The Jedi had basically abandoned the fighting way and become peacekeepers. But Revan had spent a year in the Outer Rim. It was clear these new Jedi did not venture out there. They were meant to protect the Senate, which Revan did not want. The Jedi were supposed to protect the people of the galaxy, and so Revan decided Anakin would be taken elsewhere. He left the temple, telling the Jedi he is abandoning the Force altogether, so they would not follow him. He wanted to be alone. And Revan would take Anakin to an ancient, hidden planet called Tanalur. He had records of the planet from his days in the Old Republic, but it was never visited as war began before anyone could find it. But Revan was able to discover the planet now, with no other obligations, and he decided that Anakin would be kept here to train with his mother. There was a temple built here, and it was clear that some sort of Jedi had made it at one point or another. Their early years together were marked with deep discussions under the skies, as Revan would impart ancient Jedi teachings, blended with his own insights, gained from years of struggle. Anakin wouldn't truly grasp much of this until he was at least 5 years old, but he would quickly learn how important he was, how strong he could become with Revan. Anakin's life was surrounded by becoming strong in the Force, as he and Revan would form a new order of Force users someday, perhaps. And soon enough, at around 10 years old, Anakin would begin real training. His training was intense, as Revan sought to instill in him the principles of emotional control and balance. Drawing from his own experiences of both light and dark, Revan guided Anakin through the intricate complexities of the Force, teaching him to embrace his emotions without succumbing to their darker temptations. And together, they would dive into the mysteries of the Force, honing Anakin's natural talents, expanding his understanding of its potential. Under Revan's teaching, Anakin's skills in lightsaber combat would flourish, blending traditional Jedi forms with Revan's own teachings. He would go to Ilum with Revan and retrieve a purple crystal to create his saber. And after going to Ilum, the master and apprentice would travel to Yavin 4, where Revan would use the Force to sense his buried mask and lightsaber deep underground. They survived, and Revan soon had his own purple saber back. He didn't put on the mask, as it came from a great time of war, and this was a time of peace. Their bond would grow stronger with each day, forged through shared experiences, mutual respect, and Anakin wanting to become stronger. And Revan would become not only Anakin's mentor, but also a father figure, offering guidance and support whenever needed. This would also be aided by Revan and Shmi forming an extremely close relationship with each other, as they really didn't have any other company here. Shmi would quite enjoy this new life, away from the dangerous galaxy, with her son, with Revan, who was kind despite his years of trauma and battles. And the journey was not without its challenges for the master and apprentice. Anakin's inner turmoil often threatened to consume him, as he did struggle to find balance with his emotions. These emotions would truly sprout as Revan began taking Anakin back into the main galaxy to see the Outer Rim. Revan decided that he would train Anakin on missions where they help people, and Anakin can see why the galaxy needs him. One of their earliest missions took place on Ryloth, as a civil war over slavery was taking place. Revan and Anakin would aid those trying to eradicate slavery, and Anakin would see the genuine true evil in the galaxy with his own eyes. And in a battle against those fighting for the slavery, the 15-year-old Anakin accidentally unleashed a huge force blast, disintegrating a group of fighters trying to take him on. Revan could feel the aura of darkness that did surround Anakin, and so when the battle concluded and Ryloth was free for now, Revan would once again work with Anakin to utilize the dark without letting it take over him. It was extremely difficult, but Anakin was determined to make it work. For 3 more years, the two of them would train constantly. Anakin wanted to become the strongest person in the galaxy, stronger than his master, than all of the Jedi, but he wanted to use his powers for good. Revan did emphasize that their power is a gift that can be used to help those in need, and Anakin soon mastered the balance of light and dark, becoming a very strong Jedi. And around this time, the Clone Wars would begin between the Republic and the Separatists. Initially, Revan and Anakin would remain neutral in this war. It was an unsatisfied faction of the Republic, separating itself in hopes of a better future. It was not Revan's war to fight. And by this time, Revan and Anakin were known as a sort of folk heroes around the citizens of the Outer Rim. Their reputation was growing every day, as they were helping the people who couldn't help themselves find new lives. Revan and Anakin would free people from slavery, corrupt systems, crime lords, and whoever else needed help. They freed people, and they would become refugees that the two of them would guide to the secret planet Tanalur for a new, safer life. As the Clone Wars got a year in, Tanalur was now home to at least 25,000 people who were seeking help in the Outer Rim. This was the result of almost a decade of work from Anakin and Revan to do what the Jedi on Coruscant refused to do in the Outer Rim. They were hated by crime factions throughout the Rim, but few were brave enough to actually challenge these Jedi to a fight, and no one who ever did would come out alive. And as the Clone Wars continued, Revan and Anakin would soon learn that neutrality was not much of an option. They were helping the people who had their homes destroyed during the war, and the population of Tanalur would quickly double to about 50,000, but the war would soon become a huge part of the Outer Rim, clones versus droids, with Jedi in command. The Jedi Order was well aware of Revan and Anakin by this point, and they were honestly fine with them serving their duties in the Outer Rim. The Jedi did wish that Revan and Anakin would join the war on their side, but the two of them continuously declined, saying that the Separatists are just an unhappy part of the Republic. Fighting them would be wrong. But their attitude did shift, as the Separatists quickly went from being about the people of the Republic wanting more freedoms, to the Separatists just becoming power-hungry savages, led by the likes of Grievous, Dooku, and their minion leaders, along with emotionless droid armies that would gun down anyone in their way. They had no mercy. They were machines. As Revan and Anakin joined the fighting in the Outer Rim, they were able to help local militias keep the Separatist armies from occupying their planets. And one day, a new call came in from the Jedi. It was Jedi Council Master Depa Billaba, and she was fighting on a planet Horun Kal. Her long-range transmitter had been destroyed, so she sent a message out to anyone listening, saying that Grievous and his droids have decimated her clone army, and they are trying to infiltrate the main city and destroy everyone who resisted the Separatist alliance. Revan and Anakin did hear this call. They decided it was time they aid the Jedi fighting for the Republic, and for the first time, Revan looked to his mask and put it on. It was time to return to war. On Horun Kal, Master Depa Billaba was fighting off a horde of droids trying to infiltrate the city, and Grievous was approaching with his Magna Guards. The droid general ignited 4 lightsabers and prepared to strike down Depa, who was faltering under the heavy blaster fire. She was about to fall, when suddenly a ship flew overhead, and 2 people jumped down, landing in front of Billaba, igniting purple sabers. Revan and Anakin charged at Grievous and the droids, taking them head-on. Anakin leapt over Grievous and into the army of droids, while Revan engaged Grievous and his guards. With a mechanical hiss, Grievous lunged forward with ferocious speed, but Revan met each strike of the droid general, his own blade a blur of purple, as he parried and countered with grace. The Magna Guards would soon close in, their electrostaffs humming, as they circled the duel. Revan's senses were heightened as he engaged the droid warriors with a combination of agility and finesse that they'd never seen before. With a swift motion, Revan disarmed one Magna Guard, sending it crashing to the ground. Another one fell to a powerful force push, its metallic form sent hurtling across the area. Meanwhile, Grievous pressed his assault with deadly strikes, yet Revan remained undaunted, his movements flawless against this onslaught. In a moment of blinding speed, Revan saw an opening, his lightsaber slicing through the air, cutting through the droid general. Grievous staggered back, his armor scorched and smoking from the impact. He looked up with fury, but Revan unleashed a force push, and Grievous's now sliced parts exploded as he crashed into the wall. Revan felt his power in the Force. and he followed Anakin into battle now, as the two of them pushed back the droid forces, freeing the city of Harun Kal. The two Jedi would help Depa Billaba in making sure the citizens were alright, and soon enough, the two of them would head back to Tanalur to make sure that their people were alright. And around a day after Revan and Anakin returned to their planet, talking with Shmi and the other citizens, making sure everything was alright, a new ship emerged suddenly. As it descended to the ground, Revan and Anakin could feel the dark aura emanating from whoever was inside, and so they urged everyone to get inside of their built homes. The ship got near to the ground and the ramp lowered. A hooded man suddenly blasted lightning at one of the homes, and it went up in flames, killing the 10 people inside almost immediately. In response, Anakin and Revan grabbed this ship with the Force, dragging it to the ground. This must be the Sith Lord they've heard rumors about. As the ship crashed, Darth Sidious floated out of it, landing on the ground, igniting 2 crimson sabers. With the voice like a snake, he told these 2 Jedi that they have caused enough problems for him, and now they must die. While Sidious knew the legends of Revan, he had no idea this was the Revan who trained the Chosen One. He came here to kill these 2 Jedi, but it was him who was in the greatest danger. Anakin and Revan each ignited their sabers, telling Sidious he made a great mistake coming here, and it will be where he dies. Sidious laughed and the battle erupted as Sidious launched himself at his opponents, his movements a blur as Revan and Anakin met him with a calm demeanor, their lightsabers clashing together, purple and red combining in this fight. Sidious proved to be a truly powerful adversary, his attacks coming from all angles with speed, lightning blasting from his fingertips at every chance he got. Yet Revan and Anakin fought with perfect synergy, their movements combining as they fought with the balance that they've achieved together, light and dark coming together to form one true power in the Force. And as the battle raged on, Sidious began to sense his miscalculation. Revan and Anakin, both balanced in their mastery of the Force, possessed a strength unlike anything he'd ever encountered. He thought of himself as the true power in this galaxy, but with each clash of their blades, Sidious felt his grip slipping, his power waning in the face of their might. And in his final move, Sidious was attempting a Force storm, but he was too late, and it only engulfed him as the Jedi were able to push him back. And with a coordinated strike, they cut through Sidious's hands, then cut through his chest, and the Sith Lord died here. His Force storm created a chaos and he exploded, but he did not hurt anyone around him. But unfortunately, the Jedi could not get a look at his face before he died. And over the next few months, the Republic would be thrown into chaos as the Chancellor went missing, and they would begin to slip in the war as Dooku was unleashing more droids than ever before. The Republic was low on options, so they decided to launch an all-out attack on Serenno, hoping to destroy Dooku in his home, bring the war to an abrupt end. And the Republic would attack Serenno, but even with this huge fleet, the battle became a stalemate, and the Republic quickly began to lose. But as this attack on Serenno was launched, Anakin, Revan, and the people they saved throughout the Outer Rim decided they wanted to help the Republic. The people wanted to take this opportunity to defeat Dooku, as he was not the person many had thought. He was driving everyone out of their homes, stripping planets for their money to fund his war. And so Anakin, Revan, and the people of Tanalur would take a fleet of their own ships, taking off for Serenno. Above Serenno, Jedi Masters Kenobi and Plo Koon were leading the attack, and they could see that Republic forces were falling quickly. They were about to call for a retreat, when suddenly Obi-Wan was alerted of an incoming fleet. Seconds later, ships from all around the Outer Rim emerged, an entire fleet worth of them, and they began to overwhelm the Separatist blockade. Obi-Wan noticed one ship in particular was flown by a better pilot than he'd ever seen, and this ship led the way into destroying the blockade and infiltrating Serenno. Inside of his castle, Dooku was commanding the blockade as it was destroyed. He didn't understand how this was possible, but apparently citizens from around the Outer Rim were rallying against him. As he got up and looked out of the window, countless ships were flying towards the castle, and they fired missiles directly at him. Dooku closed his eyes, and he accepted defeat. As if nothing else, at least the galaxy was uniting, and the fire of the missiles engulfed him. From here, the Republic would gain the upper hand in the Clone Wars, and within months, the Separatist alliance would crumble without true leadership. Anakin and Revan would remain away from the Jedi Order, but they were satisfied with where the galaxy was at. Sure, these new Jedi were not the same as the old Republic Jedi, but the Clone Wars gave them a new perspective of what they were doing wrong, allowing them to improve and grow. so they would leave these Jedi alone and allow them to continue growing their order. Anakin would continue to train with Revan for a bit longer before Revan's body soon became weak, and he began to die. He'd fulfilled his mission from the Force, training Anakin to become the true Chosen One and bring balance. The truth is that light and dark together can create balance, but dark side users alone create the imbalance. The dark side is unnatural and wrong, and with it eradicated, Anakin and Revan won. And Anakin would live on for many decades as a hero of the people, helping everyone in need, and always trying to live in honor of his master. And folks, that is where our story ends for today. I hope you guys liked this one. I wanted to introduce Revan into the main galaxy. I didn't want to do anything with him kind of, as a Force ghost. I've just seen that done before, so I wanted to find a way for him to be transferred to this galaxy. Didn't make, it was a fun way to try to do it. But overall, I really wanted to emphasize that Revan and Anakin wouldn't really mend or merge well with the current Jedi Order. They also wouldn't, want this order destroyed, I don't think. Revan wouldn't, just because he disagrees with these Jedi, he wouldn't want them to be genocided in Order 66, so he would help them. And when the Clone Wars hit, I think, they remain neutral just because it's not their war, but when it spreads into the Outer Rim and innocent citizens are being killed, not just clones and droids, that's when they step in and really help. And they do fight Grievous and Sidious, and I had them win pretty easily both times, as Revan and Anakin together is an unbelievable duo. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought. I'm not the most, well-versed in the Old Republic, so I do hope you guys enjoyed. Please hit subscribe and hit the like button. It helps so much. And yeah, appreciate ya. See you in the next video.